bum. Hello. How are you all? Hello.
Couldn't be better.
Good evening.
It's good to be here. Good to be here. We're waiting on Sal. I guess he had a power outage, and so who knows? Maybe he'll be here.
It's hot.
He
There's a
should
lot of
be.
air conditioning.
Sal will figure it out.
Running.
You think Sal can figure it out?
Yeah.
We'll never know. We'll never know. Welcome everybody to episode 78. If you can
God.
believe it. 78. All right, let's I'll kick it off. I'll kick off the theme song. I've never gone first. Here's a story of some lonely fellas who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me. Howard.
They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff runs Sal and Bob, and there's Howard. They called it Crossing Streams.
And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, they cross the streams.
Oh, we cross
They
the
cross
streams.
the streams.
They cross the streams.
They cross the streams.
That's the way.
That's the way we do it. Here we cross the streams.
Oh, and it looks like we got
Sally.
Sally! Good to see you, buddy.
Jeez, sorry. If my power goes out to the millions of
Yeah, you're forgiven.
Oh yeah.
Mine's been fuzzing out.
Speaking of millions of, I don't even know how to say this without tearing up a bit, but I was number one in Yemen, and then all of a sudden I'm like number two.
Yemen?
Like who in Yemen? Who targeted Jeff Dwoskin in Yemen? Who's
I don't know, but it's
like,
great.
we're taking Dwoskin down a notch. Number one in Yemen, not on my watch. Not on my watch.
They're listening to your
great.
podcast during breaks at terrorist training camps.
Oh, wow. So
you should run a bomb making episode.
2-1.
Yeah.
I will. Oh my God, my dog just started yapping away.
That's never happened to me.
Well, it's never, and she's usually very calm during the show. If she keeps going, I will.
It sounds like the dog that Carl Reiner, the fake dog bark that Carl Reiner has recorded in his bag in Ocean's 13.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to episode 78, everybody. This is exciting. We got a great show for you today.
I have a new shirt.
You got a new shirt?
Nice.
You're looking good. You're looking good. Oh, we had, I got to say, well, first, let's do a stand with Ukraine. We do that every time. With our thoughts go out to everyone fighting a good fight, and we hope that conflict passes soon. I had I don't know. I'm not baiting you guys to say how good I did, but this was like the best time ever. And there was so Sal, Bob, and we did. There's some photos on our personal Instagrams, but we did a live show. I haven't done a live show in a while. I did one a few months ago, but this was like Sal and Bob went, and then Tom, I think it's Tom went.
Tom Swan.
Yep. So Tom Swan's in the middle of his act. A woman walks in. Can I tell the story?
Absolutely.
Woman walks in front of the stage and just collapses, right? And she's down. Now we're backstage and we hear her, and all we think is, oh my God, Tom fell off the stage. We assumed he fell off the stage.
Or Tom's bombing.
Well, right. So, it's like one of those things where you just take an extra step and you like fall over. But and so this woman's like completely discombobulated. She's down. They probably shouldn't have moved her, but she gets up. She's got blood coming out of her nose and all of her face.
That was scary, man.
It was very scary because she wasn't drunk. There was something wrong, maybe dehydrated or something. And the story turns out she's absolutely fine. It turns out she's fine. So they decide to move her out of the room because she's literally, I don't know, it felt like forever, but at least 10 minutes where we're sitting there.
It was 20 minutes.
10 minutes in position 1. And and so she's in front of the 100 people, 130, 40 people that are there, and in front of the stage. So they go to move her out. Well, the guy that's moving her out, picture a doorway, and then there's brick wall on either side. Well, he didn't really hold her, which, I mean, here's a woman that was out cold a second ago, and he doesn't hold her tight. He's kind of like just grab her arm to like guide her. Well, as he clears the door just fine, she drifts hard to the left. And when I tell you, face plants into the brick wall.
He did? I didn't see that.
No, she did.
Oh, she did. Oh, poor girl.
Face plants into the brick wall. And then if you could just picture someone literally falling straight backwards, out cold for like maybe only seconds out cold, but she's out cold. And then the EMS comes in about 20 minutes. And then the funny thing about Tom, I don't know how long he's been doing comedy. I'm guessing not that long, because he's like, I still get to finish the 5 I didn't do, right?
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, if someone almost died in the middle of my act, I'd be like, whoever's next can just go.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. You're like, I'm
he
good.
He picked up right in the middle of his bit or whatever he was doing, and remember,
he did a great job.
He did great, and then the guy after him crushed on top of that, and then
when you kill at Janetti's hole in the wall, you really kill at Janetti's
you kill. Yes, that was an eventful night. It was another sellout. We had standing room only. It was our largest crowd to date. And we taped it, so I've got tape for all you guys.
Nice.
Not tape, but
you couldn't angle the sold out to keep Dwoskin's head full in the picture.
I didn't make the poster.
I'm supposedly the headliner, and
they cut my head off too. Put that up again. I think they cut my head off too.
I got
put that up again.
Cut. I'm center cut. My full face is on there.
I know. Sal's
they cut my top of my head off.
It's because I got a big head.
Yeah, you guys were supposed to you guys were supposed to record the show, right?
We did. We recorded it. So it's all there, and it's going to be a blast. I think I'm going to make like a mini documentary about this.
Nice.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I almost videotaped the woman, and I would have had it on tape, her smashing into that wall, because I thought, oh, maybe they'd want this on tape in case something, God forbid, happens, and then I didn't do it. So I'm kind of glad I don't have it, because then I'd feel bad playing it.
Now I gotta understand something here. I was there. I was on stage behind Tom when she took that first tumble. You're saying she took a second one?
Yeah,
this is a second.
Okay,
on the wall.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
she walked so hard into a brick wall,
oh,
face first, like full on face first, and then just fall on backwards.
Yeah, she thought it was the room to go into.
Like if anything would have hurt her, it would have been that second fall.
Jeez.
Well, I want to say this. Laura Giannetti, the wonderful proprietor of Giannetti's Hole in the Wall Theater, sent me, and I think I showed it to you, Sal, some emails that people said to her after the show. Nothing but 100% A1 reviews and praises for the show, and how this poor woman injuring herself was handled, and how the show went on, and everybody had a great time. It was the talk of the town.
Oh,
we were the talk of the
town.
town.
And let me just
has the best show.
I saw posts on Nextdoor about it.
And let me tell you how it went. Sal comes out, and as is the case when you're the first guy out, there's a little bit of a slow start. You get 2 minutes where people haven't figured things out yet. They're like, oh yeah, this is funny. And then he destroys. And then I followed him. I had a good set.
Yep.
Tom comes out, has a really good set, and then has a woman fall out, like we just talked about. He recovers.
Yep.
And then Robert Horton comes out and just lights the place on fire.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, it's not going to get any better than this. Jeff comes out and brings it to another level. So it was just a great night.
A great crescendo, as they say, of the kind of the way it went. It was just perfect. I mean, perfect for closing that whole night out.
Oh yeah, and Sally, don't forget the importance of setting the table. That's a pro move on your part, buddy.
You got to get on base to score runs.
You got that. There you go.
Going first is the most.
Moneyball.
Going first is definitely the most important.
Sally, it's really funny because we were talking last week. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the one time I was at Giannetti's, I brought it up to Bob. was to see the guy. I think that I saw you posted that you're going to be performing with the Neil Diamond tribute guy.
Yeah.
Who when we saw him was a guy with a horrible mullet who was clearly wearing a Neil Diamond costume 2 to 3 sizes too small.
At Genetti's or
it might not have been the same guy, but I think
no,
it was
I
at
don't
Genetti's.
think so. I don't think he's ever been at Genetti's, but
okay.
Yeah. No, I can't remember being at Genetti's with a Neil Diamond guy. Is that where you? That's
what?
where.
No, I just saw.
You saw him. Okay. No,
yeah. Not with you.
Yeah, that guy's great, man. The Neil Diamond guy.
God, he was so funny. He was like wearing. If it's the same guy at the time we saw him, he was wearing the outfit that was 2 to 3 sizes too small, and he was just falling.
I mean, that outfit never looked good on the real Neil Diamond.
Well,
you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially because Neil Diamond stopped singing in the mid '80s.
Yeah.
Talked his lyrics. We're coming to America today.
Hang on. I can't sit here and let you knock Neil Diamond. I love
the Jewish Elvis.
Yeah.
He did stop.
The Rod Stewart guy was really good. The guy I saw the other night, he was unbelievable.
Hey, Sal, you were going to originally talk about, you wanted to talk about Hustle, but we talked about it last week when you weren't here. What did you think of it?
No, I was going to watch it when I texted you. So
you didn't even watch it?
No,
okay.
I was just going to watch it. I always like watching stuff and then talking about it. So
this
week. I'm definitely going to see it though.
Got it. Cool. Yep. All right, let's get into the show here. We got last week we had Winning Time, Hustle, Night Sky, and Let's Read, a YouTube channel that Jess Paul went over. So that was cool. This week we got an awesome show. We got Anchorman, the lost movie, Anchorman, Wake Up Ron Burgundy, and then we got The Incredible Hulk Returns, and then Legendary Nights and Halftime. How fun is this show? Hey.
By the way, I agree with you, Jeff. Neil Diamond is a god. He's a pop god. And his last album, do you have Melody Road?
The first one he did with Rick, which I can't remember his name, was Ruben was incredible. The second one I don't think was as good, but maybe if I listen
Melody
to it again.
Road was, I think, the third. It was I don't know the third he did with him, but it was after those two with Rick Rubin, and he went sort of back to his. It was a mix of stripped down and then his. It's fantastic, but it comes out in 2014. Neil Diamond Star. It never fell in terms of his fans. He never played anything but a sold out concert for 40 years, but he didn't sell albums, right? But Melody Road is genius. It's beautiful.
The one with that he did with Rick Rubin, the one song on there kind of got a lot of play.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I love Neil Diamond in concert. It's one of the best concerts.
Yeah.
Ever. All right. What kind of mic you using there, Sal? You got a mic on?
Yeah. Sorry. I wasn't up to it.
I got that treatment earlier too.
It's just if we have the mics, we might as well use them, boys. That's all I'm saying.
There you go.
All right. So let's start with Sal. Let's talk about Halftime.
Hello.
I want to know about this.
Well, okay. So I watched this because it's one of the recommendations on Netflix. This is now it's not necessarily a documentary about her life, which kind of bummed me out a little bit. They did go a little bit back to when she was a child and how she got started and stuff. And but it wasn't about that. It was about her halftime show at the Super Bowl in 2020, I believe. Yeah. And a lot of it takes place with her getting ready for the halftime show. And then they'll kind of go back and talk about things throughout her life. Nothing about her relationships or nothing like that, which is kind of good. But the whole premise of the documentary is to record everything leading up to this monumental halftime show, filling big shoes of all the people that have performed at halftime. It's literally the biggest event anybody can perform on. 150 million people are watching that. And it also the documentary also shows a lot about her performance in the movie Hustlers. I didn't see that. Did you guys see
Good
that?
Movie. Yes, better than it should be.
Okay.
I never saw it, but I heard they stole the idea from someone. But
it's a good movie, and I don't know when I watched it.
they document a lot about her making of that because she was an executive producer on that. It was a big movie for a Latino to be a star of something that was so controversial kind of subject. So anyway, they show a lot about that and her relationship with Shakira going into the halftime show. They kind of, this is another thing that, and I forgot, I'm not going to name the publication. I don't know if it was Variety or one of these entertainment portals that we get our entertainment news on, but they kind of made it seem like she was shading Shakira or talking bad about her. That's what I read before I watched this. This was one of the reasons I wanted to do this documentary. And I didn't see that at all. She never said nothing bad about Shakira. The only thing she said was that I think it's a stupid idea to have two headliners on the halftime show and not, excuse me, and not make the time more. When it's a solo performer, they get 12 to 14 minutes. They gave Jennifer Lopez and Shakira 14 minutes. So Jennifer Lopez is bitching in the movie, and she does it like 5-6 times. She kind of just throws it in because they show a lot of her preparation with the dancers and all that. And one of the things you hear 4 or 5 different times is, well, I wish we had more than 14 minutes. I wish we had more than 14 minutes. I wish we had more than 14 minutes. It's a stupid idea for two headliners to have 14 minutes. And the whole time I'm thinking, man, you're Jennifer Lopez. Get 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're one of the biggest stars in the world. How can you not?
And you're not getting paid, right? So you're volunteering your time if you say
they don't do it. They don't talk anything about that. But I just thought that was interesting how that was a big part of the documentary, is this 14 minutes thing. And that was her bitching. So she never said anything bad about Shakira. It wasn't Shakira's fault that she was one of the performers. Anyway, but there's a lot of that in there. There was a lot about the controversial because just before the performance, something about the kids in the cage. They didn't know if they wanted to show that because she has dancers on the ground of her performance that were going to be in cages. And there was, stuff going on about that in the news. So she said that kind of ruined the moment for her and Shakira to have. Anyway, a lot of that, a lot of the making of it. And then at the end, they show a lot of the halftime show, which I think I was over at Bob's for the Super Bowl. I don't even know if we watched it. I think I went out to get more wine or something. So
probably.
That's a shocker.
I didn't even watch it live, but I watched it on this documentary. And, it's good. Two great performers like that. Great dancers. Obviously, they're hot. So it was cool. But I will say this. It's not as good as the best performance ever, which is Prince at halftime show. It'll
never be equaled.
There was no politics in that performance. There was no nothing. It was just about him singing, and it started raining, and he's singing Purple Rain. That was a performance that brought the world together. Not this. I really give it a thumbs down documentary. I didn't think it was that good. I think J-Lo is an unbelievable performer, but I just didn't like the way she made this documentary about the halftime show. I just didn't do it for me.
So I didn't understand why it was called halftime until you just, because any news about Jennifer Lopez, I just go scroll past. I don't give a shit. There's nothing about her that intrigues me in any way. But at what point did her publicist think that people wanted to see a documentary about, like, well, who gives a shit, right? That was what it was all about. An hour and a half about halftime. What was that drawing? Were you mocking me, Jeffrey? I don't have my glasses.
No,
pretty much.
That was me. That was a picture. I just needed to do something on it. So
besides her, publicity, her movie, or Hustlers, to get people maybe to download that. Besides that, it was about the making of. Now, one thing I thought, there was some really cool stuff in there. She had to watch, the dancers that dance behind any performer, whether it was that one or anyone. Well, she actually watched that whole performance, in front of her, like in her jeans and t-shirt, because she wanted to see what was going to be behind her. So she kind of knows what they're doing. I thought that was kind of cool. She had to do that many, many times. Like, she had to watch them like 4 or 5 times to get their movements and stuff. And I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool to see the making of that.
Yeah.
But
the reason I asked the question, it seemed to me like she wanted to answer that. She just wanted to get this out there. Why was I sharing a co-headline spot with Shakira? That was the whole point of this, right? I mean, what else was it?
Well, go ahead, Jeff.
My feeling, and no disrespect to Jennifer Lopez, I think she's very talented. There's some movies she's been in that I've enjoyed a lot. I think she's really, really good. I don't think she's halftime good. Like, I don't even know.
I agree with you.
Considered for that. If anything, the reason they got the only time they got was Shakira is actually 100 times better, right? Especially right. I mean, I'm not J-Lo has fine music and I've enjoyed, but
she's just a bigger star than Shakira.
You don't need to hear Jenny from the Block. You know,
she's a great actress. I'll give her that.
What's the one with George Clooney? Love that movie.
That was the Elmore Leonard.
Yeah.
They do gloss over that a little bit. Some of her movies, that was one of them. They show her success in Selena, which kind of made her.
That was her big hit breakout.
Oh, that's right. Wow, that seems like a million years ago.
Yeah, she's good, but a lot of people are good. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't see her as. I thought she was. I enjoyed that halftime show, and I thought she was good because she's an amazing dancer and all that kind of stuff. But I don't need 20 minutes of Jennifer Lopez in the middle of a Super Bowl game. I just don't. I guess I'm like, it was good. What are we complaining about here? You know what I mean? It's like,
first of all.
And the reason they don't get paid, I think, is because the next day, basically, on iTunes, they make friggin' millions of dollars because whoever performs their sales just skyrocket.
It's unbelievable.
First of all, let's be truthful and say that Jeff doesn't need a 20-minute J-Lo performance in the middle of Super Bowl commercials, which is clearly more important to him than the game. That's
I'm with you, Jeff. I'm with you. Howard, I'm with Jeff on that.
How dare the two of you denigrate the great Up With People for the best Super Bowl halftime show?
Oh, you know what? If one of these days they're going to dust that shit off and they're going to put it out there and it's going to be the ironic Super Bowl. I love it.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Carmen's the biggest Prince fan in the world.
I mean,
I agree. That performance was
one of the greatest quotes I ever heard. Somebody asked Eric Clapton about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. They said, what does it feel like to be the greatest guitar player in the world? He said, I don't know. Ask Prince.
Have you guys ever seen, though? I think it was a tribute I don't remember where they did. It might have been the Rock and Roll Hall
George
of Fame.
Harrison. It's my Gen.
George Harrison wasn't there. He had died. But where they
my guitar gently weeps.
Gently weeps. It was Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne. At the end, Prince comes out,
and everybody just kind of goes back and like, okay,
it's one of the most. If you haven't seen that or heard that, go Google that right after.
It gives you goosebumps, doesn't it?
It's one of the most incredible renditions of any song ever.
I didn't see the documentary, Sally, but the one comment that I heard lifted from the documentary was how she was stunned that she wasn't nominated for an Oscar for Hustlers.
Oh, yeah. There was, I think she got nominated for a Golden Globe, but not an Oscar. So,
and she puts that in the documentary. I'm stunned. Just have some humility.
There was
like Hustlers was an entertaining enough movie. But it
was. I liked it.
It's entertaining. It's not a rewatchable. Go back.
No, and she was good in it. I'll give her that. But
I think there's a theme here, Roz, is perhaps a lack of self-awareness. Like she's good.
There you go.
Like she's really good. I would put her in the top third of whoever. But it's like, but it's not.
Well, let go my ego.
She's been in over 40 movies, and her movies have made 3.
She's great. I'm not knocking her. I enjoy her. I enjoy her a lot. I think we all enjoy her. I don't think that's.
Yeah.
I just think we think that she thinks she's Beyonce, and Beyonce's like sitting at home going, "No,
bitch, please."
All right.
A 60-year-old white man saying, "Bitch, please."
All right, let's I'm really interested in this next show. Anchorman Wake Up Ron Burgundy.
Wow.
So I will tell you that I did not know that this even existed before this past Monday, and it was mentioned to me in passing, and I looked it up, and I'm like, holy crap. So first of all, I have to go back and tell you that Jeff and I, with my ex-wife, his still wife, we saw Anchorman in the theater together. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you and I sat in front of our wives and we're like smacking each other, laughing so hard. They wanted no part of us. Yeah, they wanted no part of us. They knew we were going to be laughing like, like schoolgirls, and rightfully so. I will never forget, to this day, we were laughing. But the moment of Anchorman, when Baxter the dog jumps down into the bear pit and does the speech that's subtitled, the two of us were snot out our nose, laughing hysterically. I will never forget
Baxter.
it. So, yeah. I came across one of your kind in my journeys. So I love Anchorman. It is one of my favorite comedies of all time, no question. It is quotable from beginning to end.
How do you feel about Anchorman 2? I know it's a little divergence here, but
let's focus on Anchorman 1, and then let's do Anchorman 2.
Yeah.
I've got many comments about Anchorman 2.
I'll come back to that. So what this is, and it's, when you're watching it, it's stunning. What it is they took unused footage from the first movie, and they must have shot these other plot lines that maybe they were going to use as secondary plot lines, and then basically deleted scenes from the first movie. I guess some of them are deleted scenes on this DVD for the first movie, but they pieced them together with updated narration and turned it into a complete secondary movie that basically is set just after the first movie ended. So they make it where Ron and Veronica are co-anchors, and it's not a great movie, I'll say that, but first of all, it's just stunning when you're watching it, going, how much extra did they shoot that they didn't use? There's some scenes. There's a scene where the four of them are driving in a station wagon, and it's I think it was set to be right in the first movie when Ron comes back, when they call him back to broadcast after he's been exiled, to broadcast the the beer giving birth, the panda giving birth, and they're in the station wagon driving to it, and it's a follow-up on Champ, the scenes of basically saying, I miss you, when this is all over, we should get an apartment together, and it's him professing his love and his attraction to Ron, and it's a really funny scene. So you can see there, like, okay, that was too long, they didn't need it, but they turned it into something totally different, which is amazing. So that's the first part. That's kind of cool. The first third starts kind of slow. The middle third is hysterical. It's very hysterical. The final third, the end of it, was okay. But basically the gist of the storyline is Veronica's trying to get more big stories, and there's a local terrorist group that calls themselves the Alarm Clock, trying to wake everybody up. That is it's Maya Rudolph, Paul Hauser, who's been in a bunch of stuff. He's the guy that had the party that they steal the alcohol from in Superbad. That guy who kicks Joe Latruglio in the balls at the beginning of that scene. So it's some good people, and they're robbing banks, and Veronica's come upon a lead to track them down. She's figured out who they are. Ron and the boys Ron decides he wants to be an investigative journalist as well, a serious journalist. He steals the lead and they track him down. It basically gets Veronica kidnapped. He's got to come to the rescue. And that's the plot of the movie, essentially.
And it's all from unused footage from the first film.
Totally. They shot nothing new. And again, it's not a half-hour short. It's a full-length movie.
And when did this come out?
I think if somebody can look it up. So yeah,
2004. That's crazy.
Never even knew it existed.
I never knew it was either. So there's probably the stealing the show in it. The two that steal the show is Fred Willard is just there's two or three clearly improvised.
When does he not?
I mean, amazing. And then they make references to his kid, obviously, in the first one when he's talking on the phone. His kid is in in this movie, and his kid is played by Justin Long, who always kills as well. And, so it's look, if you're a huge Anchorman fan, don't get your hopes up that it's going to be a great follow-up, but it definitely fits the canon of Anchorman.
All right, let me ask you this now. Yeah. Is it better than the official Anchorman 2?
I don't think so. So and I'm sorry Jerry didn't. The more I really was disturbed watching Anchorman 2 in the movie theater. When I see it on cable now, or I think I didn't have Anchorman owned, so I bought the Anchorman 2 bundle on Apple TVs, iTunes, so I own both. I've watched it a couple of times. There are some very funny bits in Anchorman 2. There are. I mean, first of all, there's a couple of lines I use all the time out of nowhere, which is, you know what they call bats? The chicken of the cave. Or you know what they call cats? The chicken of the rail yard.
That's so stupid.
The scene where Ron goes, the scene where Ron goes to the family of his boss and he's trying to act. He's trying to use all these African-American cliches and language. That scene's so funny because it's so awkward and uncomfortable. The continuation of the second fight scene in the
I liked the second fight scene.
With Tim Robbins.
I've never made it to the second fight scene. The Anchorman 2. Well, let me just say Anchorman 1. So here's Anchorman 1. And just to give you an idea how much I love Anchorman, there's me on Halloween. Okay? That was at work. So I was obsessed. I love Ron Burgundy. I even have footage of my youngest daughter, Emma. She would wear the hat, the wig, and the jacket from that costume. And I taught her all the lines. And she's like, so I got footage like 6-year-old Emma, you ate the whole wheel of cheese? I'm not even mad. I'm kind of impressed. So Anchorman 2, we left in the middle. For some reason, I don't remember why, but something happened and we had to leave. But it was never a movie I was more happy to exit.
You didn't care to follow up at 5
years later. I was watching it for free on cable and still could not make it through. And I mean, I love Will Ferrell. I love Anchorman 1 and Anchorman 2. There wasn't anything. And oddly enough, it was they did the same thing with Anchorman 2. There's an entire second version of Anchorman 2 because they shot so much and just did stuff off the cuff. Well, that's funny, for a scene, but if you're seriously making a movie, I mean, it's you have to have some respect for the people that are eventually going to watch it and not just have a good time shooting it. But anyhow, but that's Anchorman 2 is I thought an abomination.
If you love the first one, again, it's not expecting Anchorman, but it follows up pretty well. And again, one of the reasons it's kind of better than Anchorman 2 is because you can see pieces that were cut from scenes that are great in the first movie and how they just, by changing the narration, they incorporated them at sort of different moments. There's a scene where Brian Fantana is reporting on something and his hair's wet and a guy walks by and makes a comment about how bad he smells. And you're like, okay, I see now that was a follow-up to the Sex Panther scene. After they hose him down, you're like, that's where that came from. So you can kind of see where those cuts come from and why they didn't use them in the first movie, but how they incorporated them into this kind of pseudo sequel, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I don't remember a single iconic scene from that movie. I saw it in the theaters and just left, went, okay, whatever. I don't remember anything except the extended fight scene, which I thought was funny. That was it.
Yeah,
very
it's
good.
All right. And the other part is the clear parodying of CNN. Doing stories on stuff that that doesn't matter, that nobody cares about, stuff like that. It's not a great movie. I'd never watch it from beginning to end, but if it's on cable and I'm eating lunch, I'll watch whatever.
Kamala Harris, the early years. Yeah. Okay. Nobody gives a shit.
All right, let's do something else. Let's go with let's turn it over to Bob. Our resident boxing expert with Legendary Nights, The Tale of Gatti-Ward.
All right. Well, let's see. This is a challenge for me to not go over time because I love this subject. I love this documentary.
It's one of the best sports documentaries.
It really is, isn't it? And I know
it is. I love it.
And your expertise and how you make your living, Howard. When I watched this again just a few days ago, and I think you had said something about it on our text. I knew this would appeal to you too because it's so well done. It's not maudlin. Go ahead.
I made my wife watch it, and she was riveted.
It's the kind of thing that anybody can watch. You don't have to be a boxing fan. No. And this thing touched me in a way that I know. And those fights and the courage that those two guys had. Let's just go all the way back to the reason for this documentary was that Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward fought one of the most important and exciting boxing trilogies of all time. Oddly enough, none of them were for a championship. They were each 10-round fights, which is really kind of strange to think about now. That it riveted the attention of the nation, and HBO made billions off of it, or not billions, millions. It was Mickey Ward's first $1 million payday. This was a guy who had 11 losses on his resume. That doesn't happen in boxing.
Wow.
The guys that are making the big money, they have, they're 25-0, they're 28-0, or they're 27-1, and because they have a draw with a champion, and it could have gone either way. You guys got 11 losses. It doesn't make any sense that this came together to be the most, I don't want to say the most important trilogy because it didn't have any effect on championships or belts changing hands. But in terms of a human story,
Ollie Frazier gets that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that was so much involved in that, and belts changing hands and the heavyweights and all that. But these guys fought better fights. No, they didn't fight better fights than Ollie Frazier. They lived up to it and more. Mickey Ward from Lowell, Massachusetts. They made a movie out of it. It was called The Fighter. That was Mark Wahlberg played him. Yeah. Christian Bale played Mickey Ward's brother. And the movie is good. It's a good movie, but like a lot of Hollywood movies, it doesn't do justice to the real story because they just don't have time to get into all the ins and outs. But Mickey Ward is just such a great guy. He's just a happy guy, and loved his profession and loved his wife and loved his family, and just wanted to put on the best show he could. And throughout his career, he was a journeyman. And in the boxing world, a journeyman, he was an opponent. He was the guy that the next champion was going to fight to give him some rounds, to give him 6 or 7 or 8 hard rounds to test his mettle. But he was not going to win, hence the 11 losses. Well, they pair him with Arturo Gatti, who is going to be the next champion. Arturo Gatti is this impossibly good-looking Italian kid from Montreal, who comes down and who immigrates from Italy and then comes to Montreal and then moves to New Jersey. Just a an incredibly handsome guy, and he's got the speed, he's got the looks, he's got everything, right? So Mickey Ward is there. He's the opponent at this time. He's the guy that Arturo is going to get the rounds from, and is going to teach him, and he's going to test this kid's mettle. Well, that's not what happens. This fight, Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward 1, turns into the fight of the year. And some people are calling it the fight of the century to this day, 20 years later. They fight, I mean, from the opening bell, 10 rounds of brutality that I have never seen. I've never seen equaled before or since. If you have any interest in boxing, even if you don't have any interest in boxing, watch this documentary. If you can't watch the documentary, watch the fight. Gatti-Ward 1. And if you don't have time for that, then just YouTube Gatti-Ward round number 9.
Round 9.
My God.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So, Bob, if I can, so I've watched it. I've watched this documentary probably 3 times. I love the way that they intersperse, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but
that's okay. Go ahead.
A part of the story, a huge part of the story, obviously, is what happened with Arturo Gatti after or at the end of his career. And you could talk about that a little and how they address that. But I love it's 3 fights of absolute brutality, the entire entire trilogy, and unlike a lot of fights of this ilk, Ali Frazier is a prime example. The hate intensified as the fights went on. This was the opposite.
Yeah, so strange.
The respect,
yes.
The respect and camaraderie almost.
Yeah.
They show, I can't remember if it's after the 3rd fight or the 2nd fight, but they show in the documentary the 2 of them sitting on stretchers in the emergency room, and basically Arturo asking, "Where's Mickey? Is Mickey okay?" Yeah. And it's amazing. They've literally beat the shit out of each other for 90 minutes, and they're just concerned, and he's just concerned about the other, and then and I'll let you talk about more of it. But then the amazing thing is when Mickey gets when Arturo Gatti, he has some down years, he slips and realizes he needs a new trainer, and he said, "You know what? Who better to train me, if he'd even consider it, than the guy who knows me better than anybody else?" And he reaches out to Mickey Ward to train him later, and so the friendship and the respect that they developed from beating the crap out of each other for 90 minutes is just amazing. It's just amazing.
What's that, Sally?
I'll have to definitely watch this one. Yeah.
It's like when Rocky goes to Apollo Creed.
Honestly, it is exactly what it was.
There's a scene at the beginning of Rocky 2 where it's how Rocky 2 begins. It's the end of Rocky 1. They beat the shit out of each other. Apollo wins, and they wind up in the same hospital.
Yeah.
And Rocky wheels his wheelchair down to Apollo's room and opens the door and says, "Yo, Apollo, I just want to know." He says, "What do you want?" He goes, "Did you give me your best?" He goes, "Yeah, I did, man." And that is played out in real life in Gatti-Ward 3, where there's just immense respect for it. Just like Howard was saying, it's just they want to know that each other is okay. That now they, their lives and their livelihoods were fighters, and then so they were there to beat the living shit out of each other. But there was no belt, there was nothing. Yeah. It was respect, it was money,
pride,
and Mickey beat him soundly, I think, in number 1. Arturo beat Mickey Ward soundly in number 2. Number 3 was a little closer. You could give it to either one. They gave it to Gatti. But what struck me about this documentary is, I don't know how you feel about this, sports fans. And Howard, you watch some boxing, and Sal. Jim Lampley, to me, is the best boxing ringside announcer ever, because he didn't just talk. You had guys on HBO like Larry Merchant, who was just a snarky kind of, I don't know. I never liked the guy, but he always kind of summed the fight up. But Jim Lampley had a heart, and I love the guy. You could feel it, He had a love for these fighters, and there was a moment in this documentary that I started tearing up. I literally started tearing up because Lampley was talking about what was happening in the first fight. And how people have asked him years now, 20 years later, what's the most exciting thing you've ever seen? What's the most exciting fight? What's the most exciting round? And he said, through tears, he said, it's Gatti-Ward round number 9.
Wow.
And it wasn't because it's hard to explain. Knowing a little bit about Lampley, it wasn't just the boxing. It was because he knew these two guys. He knew what they were about, and this wasn't just a boxing match. This was so much more. It was wills. It was I don't know how to put it, but I'm getting kind of choked up myself. I can't.
No, there's some things in sports. It's all sports that there's just particular moments that happen. Just off the top of my head, that Willie Mays catch, the one where he's like, right at the wall. I mean, how many times have you seen that? It's like a moment in sports, and that's kind of what you're explaining, I believe. Even though
he never drops the ball.
There's a moment that they show from the broadcast of the third fight at the end of it, where Lampley is basically in tears saying, "Thank you, guys."
Yes.
Thank you. It's
And he was calling out to have the fight stopped, to have the first fight stopped in the end, where Gotti was just taking unbelievable punishment. And he said, I was saying, please, you can stop this fight anytime, Ref. Stop it now. And then he said, I had to pull myself back and go, no, this is what these guys do. And it's not for me to say to stop this, And there was such it was 30 rounds of excellence and you can say brutality, you can say whatever it was. It was dedication, and nobody gave up. Nobody gave an inch. Now Arturo Gatti wound up dying in 2007. His death was ruled a suicide. I don't believe it for a second.
I don't either.
I think his wife killed him.
Wow.
I don't know how in the hell they came up with that. They said he hung himself, and yet he's on the floor in
the Caribbean.
In a puddle of blood. So somebody somewhere, I'm surprised Dateline hasn't done this, but that has to be fixed. Arturo Gatti did not kill himself.
Maybe it's because his last name is Gotti.
Yeah, well, you never know. I don't know. But anyway, so that's I get a little emotional when I talk about this. And
great job, Bob. I mean, and what channel is this on? What service?
This is you just have to get it HBO. You can check it out on YouTube, for free. Just Google Gatti-Ward.
YouTube/free.
And how long is it?
It's an hour and a half.
Okay.
And it's riveting.
I'm going to watch it.
Is it as good as Hustle? All right. All right.
Two of my all-time favorite sports documentaries are on HBO. That and Bird and Magic, A Courtship of Rivals. Those are two.
Yeah, that's a great one too. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna try and keep the emotion level high.
Oh, nice.
Somewhere.
And I'm gonna talk about the incredible.
Nobody make Jeff angry.
Nobody.
You wouldn't like him when he's angry.
He's angry. So I'm leaving this up for a second, just to show you, so you can see Lou Ferrigno's hair. Lou Ferrigno's hair in these return movies was not necessarily up to par. So now here's the other thing about this show, and I just had so this is the Hulk, and this is the live action Thor. So this was actually the very first live action.
Look at the shit they made us watch.
I know.
Hang on. So that's Eric Allen Kramer. He was just on my podcast. He went on to star as the father in Good Luck Charlie, which is how a lot of generation knows him. And so, but I would always watch that show with my kids, and I'd be like, oh, Bob Duncan, he's the original Thor. And so and they were like, we don't care.
Well, they didn't even have costumes.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Not a lot of budget for costumes.
No. So all right. So here's the thing. Here's the Hulk show is always one of my favorite things. It's like, and I love the opening. It could just rattle, Dr. David Bruce Banner, physician, scientist, searching for a way to tap into the hidden strength that all humans have. Then an accidental overdose of gamma radiation alters his body chemistry. Now, whenever David Banner goes angry or outraged, a startling metamorphosis occurred. And then I'd always go like this. I'd put my hand up and go, because he'd split the face. And then I actually watched, I think it came up on Pluto or something, the original Incredible Hulk pilot, the actual show, not this movie. And it's really good. It holds up. I mean, except for you have to suspend for a second that the Hulk transformations are of the time, but they're not horrible of the time. But if you can get past that, it was actually really good. It was a great series. It really was. And it really, at the time, set the bar for Marvel and television superheroes. It faltered after that. But all right, so Incredible Hulk has its run. It's a great show. It does really well. And then 6 years later, the original series ran from 78 to 1982. And then in 1988, 6 years later, there was a resurgence. There was like a lot of, in the 80s, reunion shows from television. So it was really, really, really big business. So they're going to bring the Incredible Hulk back. And, excuse me. And so the Incredible Hulk comes back. Kenneth Johnson, who was the showrunner for the original Incredible Hulk, does not come back with it. We have Bill Bixby kind of taking the, and rearranging everything. Lou Ferrigno comes back as the Hulk. The idea here is that they're going to create a series of movies that are backdoor pilots. So the idea was, by introducing Thor into the Incredible Hulk Returns, that was a pilot for a Thor spinoff. So when
that's
we
the way they did it back then. I mean,
right.
Mork on Happy Days.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the Incredible Hulk Returns, we find David Banner. He's been Hulk free for years. He's learned to control himself. He's got a job, and he's created a gamma transponder. And so he finally has found a way to rid his DNA of what turns him into the Hulk. However, lo and behold, there's a new character in town, and Blake, and Donald Blake.
Dr. Donald Blake.
Donald Blake, right? Who, well, the Thor character in this movie isn't the God of Thunder. He's more like a Viking, right? It's more Viking lore than God. And so Donald Blake had found the hammer and now controls and can bring Thor back. It wasn't exactly like the comic book where Blake became Thor, which they didn't do in the Marvel movies. They alluded to it in the Marvel movies. His fake ID said Donald Blake once, but so they had those two characters. So the little banter between them, that would have been part of what the spinoff was, where Thor trying to get into Valhalla and doing good deeds along the way. So basically, my name is Earl before 20 years earlier. So here's the interesting thing that I think is really funny is that, and one of the reasons I kind of put this up is this is Ragnarok before Ragnarok, right? So
yeah.
So later, this was the team up that they found really great success with, that helped elevate the Thor character and the Hulk. So this was not only the first Thor, this was that first kind of real pairing of that. So, it's like, the movie's fun. You can get it on Tubi. It's free. You can watch it. I rewatched it because I was interviewing Eric Allen Kramer, who played Thor. And I like to rewatch stuff. It's fun to, you can kind of get a little deeper when you do it. So there's a lot of fun parts to it. Thor calling the Hulk a troll. The two of them fighting is great. he has to scream Odin to like go back and forth, and that's how they go do that. And so that's fun. And then there was a drinking game I found online that said David Banner transforms into the Hulk. You drink, you take a shot. If someone yells Odin, you take a shot. Someone says the word angry, shot. Donald Blank holding the hammer, shot. The Hulk is called a troll, shot. The sad music plays, double shot.
The Hulk walking away music is
right.
The best.
So basically, if you followed whoever made this drinking game on JoeBlow.com wanted everyone to die.
You can't do that.
Returns. Yeah.
You can't watch a movie and then count how many times they say angry. Yeah, they're gonna have to go through a half gallon of vodka.
This is Jack McGee, Jack Colvin's last appearance as in the Hulk series. He became sick and passed away, so he didn't make it to the other movies. He, of course, was the reporter that was trying to find the Hulk and break that story. Which, by the way, interesting thing, when I mentioned I rewatched the original The Incredible Hulk, that character is the character that actually causes the explosion, which creates the Incredible Hulk. So he actually creates the entire scenario.
Wow.
So it was meant to be a spinoff, as I mentioned, but at the time, there was a lengthy Writers Guild of America strike, so it took a heavy toll on a lot of these shows. It was actually originally supposed to be a She-Hulk spinoff, which has a lot of the same beats, I think, as the one coming out. Stan Lee was a consultant. He definitely liked this movie more than he liked The Amazing Spider-Man, 1970s version of Nicholas Hammond, who played Spider-Man, was on my podcast. Are you noticing a theme? So anyway, but I think this would have gone to pilot because had some of these things not been in play and not the bad things not happened, because it was a huge rating success, like huge. They actually made another one called Trial of the Incredible Hulk with Rex Smith, and they introduced Daredevil. And so they
Rex Smith.
Yep.
You mean the singer?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Really? You take my breath away, Rex Smith?
Maybe I'd have to Google that. But anyway, if you have nostalgia for The Incredible Hulk, if you really like that series, this movie is a fun rewatch. Yeah.
All right.
To this day, and I don't know if you would agree with me, Jeff, aside from the MCU versions of all these great Marvel characters, the best interpretation ever of Marvel characters anywhere on TV or movie, other than the current MCU slates, were the cartoons. The after-school cartoons they did. There was Iron Man, Thor,
I love them.
Hulk.
Yeah.
What were the other ones? Iron Man, Thor, Hulk. I remember, and I still remember the song.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Obviously, yeah. Spider-Man. That's what. Iron Man was. I remember Thor. The Thor theme song was "Cross the Rainbow Bridge of Asgard," and then the Hulk one.
Heavens roar.
Yeah, and the Hulk was.
Doc
Bruce Banner belted by gamma rays turns
into the Hulk. Ain't he unglamorous?
Yeah. What was it? Only the four of them? It might have only been the four of them.
It might have been.
Remember.
Yeah, that was a good times. Good times.
Yeah,
they fed us so much shit back then, and we believed it.
But it was pure, and it was just kind of fun. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so.
Yep.
And you could watch The Incredible Hulk Returns without having to watch 40 other series to understand the 15 references they
but
did.
They weren't. I mean, I haven't watched them in years. I'd have to watch some of them online. But from my memory of them, they weren't goofs. They treated them like comic books.
They did.
That's
The Incredible Hulk was a great show. I started to rewatch it, and I was like, "Oh, this is a good
It had
show."
a pathos to it, didn't it?
Yeah.
It had a kind of because Bill Bixby had brought something to that role that you could see he really fought for, to play that straight. And the agony that he went through to try and regain his humanity. But it was a weird time,
It's but a great time as well. All right. Well, Any randoms? Kenobi ended this week. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. The Boys is on again Friday.
Yeah.
I'm loving The Boys.
I
got a breaking news. I don't know if you guys have heard of a show called Ozark. No, I'm kidding. We've talked about it a million times on here, but I have Robin and I, my wife, started watching season 1, and oh my God, this is one of the best shows. Like,
so you were an Ozark holdout. This is your first trip.
Wasn't that was a holdout? I think I said on the show. I was like, the first episode was pretty brutal. I thought, at least it hit me as brutal when I watched it. I didn't feel as brutal the second watch, but maybe because I knew it was coming. But and at the time, it was like we watched shows at night, and it wasn't something I wanted to watch just before I went to bed. You know what I mean? And so so here we are now. We started watching it, and
it's great.
Damn, wow! It's definitely in the mold of Breaking Bad, in which what I mean by that is not the storytelling mold, where it keeps getting better and better, and the world gets bigger and bigger. And it was I thought it was really good. It's interesting in the beginning, they do the logo, and there's 4 images, and each one of those images is different every time. And each one of those images, we now pause and write down what they are, because those are triggers for very, very important scenes from the episode.
Correct.
So it's ballsy to say, oh, in this 45-minute episode, an hour, actually they're an hour, we got 4 key scenes. That's a lot.
Yeah.
When you consider Severance was 9 hours and there was 1 key scene in the last episode.
Tell us how you feel about Severance.
Or Stranger Things. Season 4, we know you love that. There hasn't been a single important scene.
No,
there hasn't. And I will go again. I will say again that Stranger Things went out of their way to do a behind the scenes clip online that literally ruins the entire 8 episodes, if you haven't watched it.
So updates on a couple of shows that I've reviewed. So I Love That For You on Showtime just wrapped, and just wrapped the first season. It's a really good, fun, happy show, and
Bye, Jerry.
Just
Jerry.
it. And then 2-2, Jerry. And then one other show that I did months back, Flatbush Misdemeanors, a comedy on Showtime, just started season 2. I watched the first episode last night. It is one of the funniest effing shows on TV right now. It is just so dry, witty. It's great. And then
Flatbush
one other thing.
Okay.
Flatbush Misdemeanors is really good. And then one other thing that I recently discovered is, and you guys may have seen it on YouTube, there's an entire series, especially of the last 3 seasons, of big moments from Game of Thrones that they recorded at a place called the Burlington Bar, where people watched the episodes in public.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
and they're all superimposed with the broadcast in the lower right. And so I don't think they had that one for the Red Wedding, but they definitely had the Battle of the Bastards. They definitely had Littlefinger. They had all of the final season, and I really enjoy watching some of the best scenes. Instead of going back and watching Game of Thrones all the way through, I'm kind of rewatching some of the best scenes of the later years of the show, especially that way, and seeing people react to it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I saw an interesting clip today where the Kate Bush is making bank, 7-figure bank,
significantly more than she ever did
from the song
in her
and the
career.
downloads.
Yeah,
it's insane. I mean, good for her. It's a good song, but wow. I mean, something like 37 years later or something like that. It's like,
did I see they tried to roll out Soft Cell for one of the newer episodes?
Really?
I think so. I thought I saw something like that posted online, but maybe I'm wrong. Tainted Love.
So.
And also the writers and performers of one of the better songs called Sex Dwarf. That is not a Spinal Tap song.
Which they're making a sequel. They're making a sequel.
They are making a
Spinal
Tap sequel.
So that's dangerous. All right, say goodnight, Howard.
Good night, Howard.
Say goodnight, Bob.
Good night, everybody.
Say good night, Sal.
Good night, everybody. SalDemilio.com, Sal and Bob Show, Janetti's Hole in the Wall.
Boom.
Thursday, July 21st.
Thank you. Yes. Check out Classic Conversations and the Sal and Bob Show. I have a new show drops at midnight with David Fishoff. Interesting guy. He created Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and he was responsible for the Monkees 20th anniversary tour and the Ringo All-Star tour.
20th anniversary. Wow.
20th, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right. All right. We'll see you guys.
This is now. Okay.
Yep. We'll see you guys next week.
Good night,
that
everybody.
has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow the Jeff DeWaskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff DeWaskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us, listen to our podcasts, Classic Conversations, and the Sal and Bob Show. Check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.